Hello students, I welcome you all for my today's class. So today we are going to discuss about the investigation, which is the examination of a cervical mucus. So examination of a cervical mucus we will be dealing. So what are its main aims of doing examination? First is about the bacteriological study, second is about the hormonal status, and third is about as a infertility investigation. So we there is a one test called as PCT or postcoital test. So all these are done using a cervical mucus. Okay, bacteriological study, hormonal status, infertility investigation, which is a PCT or postcoital test. So coming to the each one by one. First is about the bacteriological study. Bacteriological study, how to take is, first of all you have to collect the sample. Cuscos bivalve speculum is introduced without using any lubricant. As I have already mentioned before, using lubricant can distort the cell morphology or it can give the false results. So you should not use any lubricant if you are going to take a sample for investigation. The next, with the help of a sterile cotton swab, the cervical canal is swabbed. The material is either collected, sent for culture, or spread over a microscopic slide for gram staining. So this is a method, and the sample you can directly send for culture or you can spread it over a slide and you can stain it and send into the lab. So this is a method of collection of the sample. Next is about the hormonal status. So yeah, so in the lab you will come to know which bacteria is involved in that. Bacteriological means whether any bacteria is involved, you will come to know in the lab. Okay, and staining also, you will come to know whether it is gram positive stain, negative stain, etc. Then coming to the hormonal status, the physical, chemical, cellular components of the cervical secretions are dependent on hormone, estrogen and progesterone. So the cervical secretion, the nature is dependent on the hormones, two mainly hormones, that is estrogen as well as the progesterone. How come it is estrogen? See, if estrogen is more, then what happens? Estrogen increases the water and electrolyte content with the decrease in the protein. So estrogen increases the watery content of the cervical mucus and it decreases the protein content. As such, the mucus becomes copious, clear and thin. So the mucus under the estrogen becomes copious, clear and thin. Progesterone, on the other hand, decreases the water and electrolyte, but it increases the proteins. So progesterone, what it does is it decreases the water and electrolytes, but it increases the protein content. So as a result, the mucus becomes scanty, thick and tenacious. So the mucus, if it is if it is thick, scanty and tenacious, it indicates the progesterone is dominant. The influence of the hormones on the cervical mucus is utilized in detection of the ovulation in clinical practice. So what is its use? Why we should know the whether the mucus is thin, thick, or whether it is under the estrogen effect or progesterone effect is to know the ovulation. This type of in examination helps in knowing the ovulation in clinical practice. So pH around the time of ovulation is about 6.8 to 7.4. It is bit alkaline, and at the time of ovulation, if you want to see the pH of the cervical mucus, then it is varying in the range of 6.8 to 7.4. Next, there is a test called as spin Barkett or stretchability or elasticity test. Spin Barkett, yes. So what is this test is? See, this is a very simple test. It's a very simple test. What you have to do is you have to collect the cervical secretion and you have to put it over a glass slide and you have to see the its stretchability. Okay. So for the procedure goes like this. So during the mid cycle, the cervical secretion is collected with a pipette and placed over a glass slide. So you have to collect in the mid cycle the secretion and placed over a glass slide, and another glass slide is placed over it. So because of the increased elasticity due to high estrogen during this period, the mucus placed between the slides can withstand stretching up to a distance of over 10 centimeter. So you have to place the cervical mucus on a slide, and over the slide again you have to put one more slide, and then after that you have to see the mucus whether it can withstand the stretching up to a distance of 10 centimeter or not. So after ovulation, when corpus luteum forms progesterone, it is secreted. Then under its action, the cervical mucus loosens its property of elasticity, and while attempting the above procedure, the mucus fractures when put under tension much earlier. This loss of elasticity after its presence in the mid-cycle is the indirect evidence of ovulation. So the stretchability which was present before, if you have not found the elasticity which was present before and is absent or later, it means the ovulation has occurred. See here, you can see the mucus which is thick, sticky, glue like. It can stretch. So you have to place it in between the slides and you keep stretching. So if it stretches up to 10 centimeter in the first half and second it cannot stretch, it means it is ovulation occurred and the mucus change with the action of progesterone. It is called as a stretchability test or Spin-Barrett test. Coming to another test which is done on the cervical mucus, it is called as a Fern test. Yes, Fern, as the name itself suggests, here this Fern pattern appearance will be there. Okay, that's what is termed as Fern test. Coming to the test in detail, during the mid-cycle, the cervical mucus is obtained by a platinum loop or a pipette and it is spread on a clean glass slide and it is then dried. Okay, then when seen under low power microscope, it shows the characteristics pattern of the fern formation. So if you have collected the mucus, you have spread it on a clean glass slide, dried, and when viewed under the low power microscope, it shows the characteristic pattern of the fern formation, which is due to high sodium chloride, low protein content in the mucus, due to high estrogen in the mid-menstrual phase prior to the ovulation. So after ovulation with increasing progesterone, the ferning disappears completely after the 21st day. So after ovulation with increasing in the concentration of progesterone, the ferning disappears completely after 21st day. Thus the presence of ferning even after 21st day suggests an ovulation and its disappearance is presumptive evidence of ovulation. See here a typical fern pattern appearance of a cervical mucus. See here you can see a typical fern pattern appearance. Under the microscope you'll find like this, the cervical mucus. Yeah, it's looking like a fern, no, totally fern pattern appearance. See, presence of ferning even after 21st day indicates an ovulation and its absence gives the evidence of ovulation. See, you can see here how the ferning disappears slowly after the ovulation. If it's still present after 21st day, it means the cycle is anovulatory or ovulation didn't take place. The cervical scoring system of Isler takes into account the amount Spin-Barrett ferning of the mucus along with the state of the external loss of the cervix. A score of 10 to 12 indicates complete follicular maturation. So there is an index called as the cervical scoring system of Isler. It take account in all these points the amount of the cervical mucus, Spin-Barrett or stretchability test, ferning of the mucus with the state of the external loss of the cervix. So considering all these points, there is a score. If the score is 10 to 12, it indicates the complete follicular maturation or the ovulation is occurring. So coming to the last test which is performed on the cervical mucus is the in infertility investigation called as the PCT or the postcoital test. PCT postcoital test, it is diagnosed by Marion Sims and Max Hellner, scientist. The cervical mucus is a glycoprotein gel with interstitial channels between the mucin glands. These strands expand and contracts in response to the steroid hormones. This helps the sperm transport upwards. So the cervical mucus is such made up of such strands that it contracts in response to the steroidal hormones again. So it which helps in the sperm transport to the upward through the cervix. It should reach the uterus and the tubes. The principle is it is the examination of the cervical mucus to evaluate the presence of progressively motile sperm in it. This test is done several hours after, that is within 8 to 12 hours after sexual intercourse. Presence of at least 10 progressively motile sperm per high power field suggests that the test is normal. PCT has got poor predictive value. Moreover, the test procedure is inconvenient and embarrassing. Routine postcoital test is not recommended. So here what you have to do is you have to ask patient within 8 to 12 hours of having sexual intercourse, then you have to collect the cervical mucus and you have to examine under the microscope. So if you find minimum 10 motile sperms, that it means the PCT is normal or postcoital test is normal. That means there is no anti-sperm antibodies present in the cervical mucus. So this completes the examination of a mucus test. Thank you.